In this video, we are going to see how to write test cases for a simple scenario data load process. So as part of this, we are going to discuss about uh, scenario and understanding. So what are the prerequisites we need to have it in place before starting the test design and designing the test cases and execution and testers checklist. The scenario understanding means understanding the requirement. So I have taken a simple example of loading the data from two different data location databases. Here you can see Chennai location database is having 3 records. At the same time, the Delhi location database is having 3 records. Here you can see the bill ID is 123 and here also bill ID is 123. When you load these two table data into data warehouse, the bill ID will be generated automatically, so based on the surrogate key concept, and since bill ID is the unique key. So this is our objective of our testing. So from ETL jobs need to load the data from both Chennai location database and Delhi location database into data warehouse data table. That's all. So what are the prerequisites what we want to know? So list of source tables. Yes, we know that. So two source tables we are going to have, and target table structure, yes, we have it. And business transformation rules. So what are the transformation rules? So we will be getting those transformation rules from business team or end user or development team. And details about ETL job. So what is the job name, and what is the folder name, and those details, and what is the type of load, so whether it's a full load and incremental load. So I'll be giving a separate demo on a full load, in difference between full and incremental load testing. So let's consider that as this is a full load. So there is a slight difference between a full and incremental load, so where we have to showcase the little concentration so while testing the incremental load. So for this example, so let's consider that this load will be a full load, and where job blocks are will be stored. The first testing would be testing the structure of the target table, so data warehouse table. So here you can see what are the column names and what are the column data types exactly, whether it will we should not blindly confirm based on the requirement document or specification document. We should cross check with the source system data type, also data type and data length. So we should make sure that the data length or data type what data warehouse is having can be accommodated all source formats of the tables. And is it a nullable column or not nullable column? So, and the next would be a data preparation before running the workflow. So we should we should get the count of source table counts. So get the count from both tables, and run the ETL job from ETL tool, run it, and monitor the ETL job from some workflow monitor or tool specific monitoring screen. So then we need to do the data load testing. So we have to take the count from data warehouse table, and we need to compare with the staging source or staging count what we have taken, and we need to test the business rules. So if there in this case it's I'm not having any business rule till now. So for testing the business rules, so we can take an example of removing the duplicate data. So in case of duplicate data exists. For example, so here you can see the bill ID and the date, everything is common. So that case, so we are considering this as a duplicate record, and bill ID would be 4, but the date would be same. So so it is for only example purpose. That case, right, is based on the date. So we are considering this as a duplicate record, and we will not load the data into data warehouse. Instead, so we will send a email notification to respective team member about duplicate record exist in the this table. Then, so checking the um, job behavior. So when data exists with the junk data, so in that case, so we'll not be loading the same junk data into data warehouse, and we'll be making sure that um, it won't be get into data warehouse database. And some case the ETL job might fail, and that case, so we need to make sure that the ETL job failure will not affect the data warehouse existing data. So that case, we need to make sure that a rollback is happening properly or not. And rerun. And the finally, the performance of the ETL job. So we need to load enough number of data. So before testing the performance testing, so we need to get the clear information from business team that so what is the exact number of exact volume of data available in the production environment. So based on numbers, so we need to simulate our integration database, whether you can refresh the data from production to testing, or we can simulate the data simulation also. That case, so we need to run the job, and we need to make sure that so it will any of the job, it should not be it should not run more than 2 hours. These are the major test scenarios what we have seen so far. So table structure validation, that's the first one, and the data preparation, so source table count, and if in table is having index, and note down the index of the target table, run the ETL job. And as part of data load validation, we need to validate the data count and the correctness of data business rule. And we need to check as part of negative testing, duplicate data exists, how the job reacts, and junk values and invalid records, how the job reacts. And if the job is getting failure, so, whether it is handling with the rollback scenario, it should not affect the existing warehouse data. And finally we will end up with the performance testing. So these are the testers checklist. So before to start the test design, so to start the test design, we should have source table information, target table structure, business transformation rules, ETL job detail, and type of load, and workflow log or session log path. So as part of test design, make sure that these things everything covered. So covered all environment related scenarios like um, table structure validation, and other schema level validations, constraints, and everything. So covered all business rules, and covered all the exception cases, so like data valid duplicate data and invalid data, and failure cases, job failure cases, and covered suspension resumption scenario, and performance testing. That's all.